This is Bobby Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive at the SeeThruEquity 4th Annual Investor Conference 2015 in New York City. With me right now is Dr. John Hall from Greenwood Hall. The symbol is ELRN. John, welcome back to SNN.
Thank you so much. It's great to be back. Thank you.
It's been a few months since we last spoke, so for our audience who hasn't seen the first interview, let's get an overview, and then we'll get into more specific questions.
Perfect. So Greenwood Hall is an education technology company, and we're sitting at the ground floor really helping schools be a lot more efficient and also effective in terms of enrolling students, digitizing their content so they can go online, and serving students. Over 50% of students don't actually graduate that start college or university in this country, and we're playing an active role in helping schools make sure the students are successful.
So before we get into the updates from a few months ago, you know, I was an undergrad. You know, I'm considering grad school.
That's great.
You know, so what are the services, like if I were to go to that grad school that has your services, you know, what do I see you, or do I see a few people from Greenwood Hall there helping me? I mean, how does it work?
So 70% of students now are non-traditional students, meaning that most of them are adult learners just like you who are thinking of going back to school. That means that in most cases, when you're looking at schools and when you're interacting with your school, you're doing it online. You're doing it over the web, via phone and so forth. So everything we do, for the most part, is virtual. We are out there for our schools finding students first of all. So we're creating a marketing program, lead generation and so forth. So we're starting to talk to you right from the start, and we are acting as the school. We are counseling you, so we're figuring out exactly what you're looking to do, what your objectives are, what your goals are, and helping you through that entire enrollment process. So basically acting as kind of a concierge between you and the school. Once you're enrolled, we are essentially your coach. We're advising you. We are available 24/7 for any questions or issues you may have. We're helping you with career placement. And we're making sure that you have a solid experience, because again, you know, people like you who are working during the day, a lot of the time that you have to focus on your studies or you know, deal with financial aid or other types of issues are going to be in the evenings or on the weekends. And that's really the void that we fill for schools. And it's really how the 21st century in higher education is panning out.
So you're like a third-party guidance counselor services. Is that kind of...
Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe us, but we're also, everything we do is about helping our schools generate revenue. So we're finding students for schools. The cost of acquisition on average is about $6,000 to $10,000 for a school. So it's a very expensive proposition for schools to recruit students. And there are less students today than there were back in 2008, for instance. So we're doing that, and we're counseling you right from the beginning, making sure you're a great fit for the schools we're working with, and then we're counseling you throughout. One of the big issues, obviously, is that a lot of people are spending a lot of money on higher education. There's $1.2 trillion in student loan debt, yet the outcomes aren't typically there. Students aren't graduating, or if they are, they're not necessarily going into a career or an income opportunity that supports what they've done. So a big part of what we do is based on creating a successful outcome as well.
Okay. So let's say, you know, I got into ABCD University. You know, is my counselor you, or do you train, you know, on-staff people at the university? And on that note, do they use you as like a white label solution? Like, it's not, all right, so here, now go talk to Greenwood Hall. It's right. Like, all right, now here, talk to our counseling staff. That's
right. It's absolutely seamless. So you have no idea that you're not dealing with a school. Our counselors and advisors have the same amount of training and same background that a counselor or advisor might have working at a school. The difference is they're working from one of our educational centers, using the school's email address, wearing the school's jersey. They've visited campus. They have knowledge of what's going on campus and the culture and so forth. So they're really able to service you as a student seamlessly, and there's no distinction between us and the schools that we serve.
So this makes a lot of sense. So rather than hiring in-house someone, you know, and pay a salary full year, they can use your solution and have still very well-trained individuals assisting students with what their needs are.
That's right, and in addition to that, they can have best of technology. So we're a technology-enabled solution, which basically means we provide technology, strategy, and execution, solving big issues for schools. Schools want to focus on educating students. They want to focus on the academic side of advising and so forth. They don't want to have to focus on competing for students, on the marketing process, and really on servicing students day to day. That's what we do, and we make the school a lot more effective in their ability to deliver a great education. We're working very closely with the school. So if you call us at 11 o'clock at night because you have a challenge or an issue, we're helping you with that, but we're also making sure that your professor knows about it, or whoever else on campus needs to know about it. So we're really facilitating that relationship between school and student.
What exactly is that solution? So let's say, for instance, I had a question for my professor that I didn't have access to because, you know, it's the night before my paper's due. You know, could I send you the question and then send to them? I mean, how does that work?
So obviously you have direct contact with your professors, but you can call us, you can email us, we can video chat with you, you can text us. We have tutoring support services, so we're really there to help you with anything that you need. Maybe it's a basic question about how do I use PowerPoint, or how do I register for this class? We are there to really help you remove any obstacles that you might have. And if you need additional support that the school can provide, we know what those services are, and we're linking you to those services. But we're really there as a coach and a support system for you when your faculty member can't be, and when you can't be, because you're not necessarily on campus. But the real technology that we're offering are the analytics and the data that we provide to the school. And we're also able to use the technology because we know about our students, so we're able to be very preemptive. Before a student fails out or stops out or has a retention issue, we're able to identify what that issue might become and proactively deal with it based on the technology we have, because we're integrated with the school's academic systems, their ERP, and we have all our own analytics technology and dashboards. The other thing that's really important is that schools can see exactly what's going on, so they can see their return on investment with us, what type of interventions we're doing, and how our support is really playing an active role in assisting their students.
So, like I said, we spoke to you a couple months ago. You know, in the few releases that I've seen since then, I don't want to say few, there's been quite a few. You know, you're talking about new clients that you've brought on, a lot of community colleges. Is that the main target, or are you targeting, you know, other forms of higher education as well?
Well, that's a really important that's a good question. I'm glad you brought it up. So we generally work with private not-for-profit schools as well as public schools. We generally do not work with for-profit education institutions, and that's what makes this business different, and that's also what makes this business very viable, because we're not dealing with a lot of the for-profits that have had a lot of the challenges and issues over the last few years specifically. Community colleges really are at the heart of our higher education system, and a lot of the things that we can do in terms of helping students and providing that level of support is very important for their missions. But we also work with many state institutions, many flagship institutions like the University of Alabama and Mississippi, as well as private not-for-profit schools across the country too.
I think we got the whole picture. Where can our audience go and find more information about Greenwood Hall, our investor audience?
GreenwoodHall.com. We have an investor relations site. We're doing a lot of exciting things. We just announced a few months ago that we're pursuing an acquisition strategy, NASDAQ uplist strategy. So I encourage anyone who's interested in the company and what we're doing to visit our site at GreenwoodHall.com to get more information.
That's perfect. That's GreenwoodHall.com. This has been Bobby Kraft, and I'm live on SNNLive at the SeeThruEquity 4th Annual Investor Conference 2015 in New York City. Again, with me right here is Dr. John Hall from Greenwood Hall, symbol ELRN. John, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.